It is June 3rd, which means that it is officially fantasy football time. Whether you're drafting already or you just want to see what all the crazies are doing who've been in draft for a couple months, we got you today with a mock draft 1.0 for the fellas. We're going 12 rounds, half PPR. We're taking 2 flex, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. We're going to get crazy with it. So let's dive right in. And like I said, we're doing 12 team, half PPR. For you super flex people, we apologize, but it is 1 quarterback. I don't care what you say. The majority of people are still in 1 quarterback leagues, but we do love you. I need to quit blabbing. We need to start this. I'm at the 4, Ty's at the 9. This is on Sleeper. That's all you need to know. And there goes. All right, good. So we're on our second iteration of this because the first time Sleeper decided to get crazy on us and give us 3 running backs off the bat. And I didn't want to post a team where I had the 104 getting Jamar Chase because we knew no one would believe us. So we needed to make it believable. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley go off the board. I don't know about you, Ty, but for me here, it's pretty easily Bijan Robinson. I'll go him. I have a pretty consensus top 4: Jefferson, Chase, Barkley, Bijan. I think there's different ways that those 4 can go. I think Chase should be 101, right? He's got Burrow, like he was so good last year. There's really no question marks. Barkley, if you want to say, does he regress a little volume? Bijan, we've seen him be he's still a young running back. And then obviously Justin Jefferson's proved that it doesn't matter who's on his team. Do you have any qualms with that, or are you pretty set on a top 4?
Yeah, I think you can maybe make an argument for a top 5. I think it really will depend on how you feel about one Christian McCaffrey, because I think draft boards will have him.
Yes.
I don't want to say buried a bit, but he will not be in the top 12. But if you fully trust that we get a clean bill of health this year with all the changes that this San Francisco offense has gone through already, I feel like you can make the argument that Christian McCaffrey should belong in the top 5 no matter where he is on the draft board, even though some people will say, well, you're not playing the board right then. You're reaching on the guy. And it's like, well, I don't care if I'm reaching on a guy that can finish as the overall running back 1. Now, what does make the difference ultimately for me, it is half PPR versus full PPR. So probably top 4 for half PPR, but in a full PPR, I would understand a top 5.
Yeah, I think the other person I'd maybe throw in there is CeeDee Lamb. I think you can make the argument for him as well.
Sure.
But I do think it's pretty firmly those 4, and then you got a couple fringe guys. I forgot about CMC. That's a good point. People are going to hate that take. We understand the injuries, but when he plays a full season, he's a top 2 running back. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's kind of where he's at. After Bijan goes Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, which we'll see if that gets impacted now with Frank Ragnow with a surprise retirement at 29 to center for the Lions. Ty, you told me, like, I don't think people realize how big that might be for the Lions. Like, he is an all-pro. He's a top 3 center of the league and just gone, poof, out of nowhere. So could be huge there. CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua next. So what are you thinking here at the 109?
109, I may have spoiled it by talking about McCaffrey, but I think the board is interesting here, and especially in a half PPR. You talk about Malik Neighbors and elite talent. You know that he's going to get peppered with targets. The question is just how much is he going to score, right? And if he doesn't score a whole lot, can he just volume his way to a point where it doesn't really matter? Maybe. I'm not going to put that out of consideration, but it's a question worth asking. You got Nico Collins and Brian Thomas Jr. up here. Nico Collins has shown that he can be the most touchdown, I don't want to say dependent. That's not the right way to say it. If you need a receiver to score you touchdowns in this range of players, it's going to be Nico Collins. And in half PPR, that's what you should be targeting over volume. And so I think it really does come down to Nico and probably Christian McCaffrey, because my worry is that I'm not going to get him on the come around. That's where I'm at, because Sleeper has already acted up on us. So with that being said, I am going to go Nico Collins here. Not that I don't think that Malik Neighbors is a bad pick. I just have questions over the quarterback situation in the offense as a whole. That worked out beautifully.
Well done.
But yeah, like I've got those questions that pushes me to Nico Collins, where I don't have to worry about that. It's just a matter of health, and I'm okay taking that risk.
Definitely. And that's the thing. Like Nico, before he got hurt last year, was the wide receiver 1 overall in half PPR formats. We forget about that. He's battling injury coming back. So that's huge. Before we move on to the second round, we want to remind you guys every single week starting next week, we will be going live twice a week doing these live mock drafts on Sleeper, most of them over on Underdog. Those are paid live drafts with real people that you can hop into if you really want to and join us. So like I said, that'll be Mondays and Wednesday nights moving forward. Should be a lot of fun. After Nico Collins, we have Malik. That's on YouTube, by the way. I should throw that out there before you're searching all these other places. It is over here on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe, follow, turn on those notifications. But after Nico, we go Malik Neighbors, Derrick Henry, Brian Thomas Jr., Devon Achane. Ooh, I kind of like Team 12 start. Drake London, AJ Brown, and Ty, we know what your pick is here, so why don't you go ahead and make it?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, and the 2 running backs here at the top, I think you can make a case that you could have started McCaffrey and fallen back on a Genty, and that's a great start. My thing is you do need receivers at some point.
Yes.
And I would rather just take the guarantee of a Nico Collins versus an Ashton Genty, who will get fed targets, but in a Vegas offense, I don't know. I maybe imposing too much pessimism there with Ashton Genty. You shouldn't be worried at all, but I'm not worried at all about Christian McCaffrey, so I'm going to take him there.
We get a little run on running backs here. We go after McCaffrey, CMC, Bucky Irving. I love Bucky, but middle second just feels a little. I don't know about you. It feels a little scary for me seeing him there.
Sure.
Are you a little more willing to take him that high, or are you?
Yeah, I don't know if willing is the right way to say it. I think the thing that doesn't sit right with me is the fact that we got him so cheap last year, and now you do have to spend premium capital on him. It's not that he isn't going to be worth that. It's just that you missed out on the Bucky sweepstakes last year, and there is no sweepstakes this year.
Definitely. Yeah, that is really what it comes down to. We have Brock Bowers, which might end up being late. He might be a guy we see closer that 1-2 turn come, August home drafts. JSN next. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking between 2 guys. I really am. It's Ladd McConkey and Trey McBride. I've really started to come around on Ladd more actually this last week. The more I've been looking at it, just the way that they use him, he's the bona fide one in that offense. But Trey McBride, you forget, had more points per game last year than Brock Bowers. I think a lot of people forget that when we're thinking about these 2 guys. So it's tough. I think I'm going to go McBride because partly I do think I lean McBride normally, but I also never start drafts anymore without taking a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. So I kind of want to see what that build looks like. So we are going to go McBride here. After McBride goes Josh Jacobs, Ladd McConkey, Jonathan Taylor, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Garrett Wilson. Comes back pretty nicely. As you can see, looking at the board, we got Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Jane Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans is next. I really want to reach down the board here because I think you're going to take my guy who I really want. I might reach way down here and go Rashee Rice.
Whoa. Oh man.
So this is where it's interesting, right? We talk about drafting on Underdog a lot. In Underdog, this is the Rashee Rice area. This is where you have to take him. So that's where I've gotten used to it. The other thought here is just go T. Higgins. And that might be what I do. I think T. Higgins might be a little bit safer. But I don't know if that safer is the right word either here. Running backs, I'm okay with Kyron, Chase Brown, and Breece Hall, but I feel like I need a wide receiver. Tyreek's just too much of a question mark. Oh, what do I do? I think
just go quarterback, go early on the onesies position because that's exactly what you love to do.
It is. Man, I'm thinking I'm gonna go T. Higgins here. I thought about Rice, so that means you're gonna go Rice and you're gonna take him for me. But that's all right.
No.
Loses on his guy. After Higgins, We got Tyreek Hill, Chase Brown, Jaden Daniels, and Mike Evans. Who are you upset to see go, and where do you think you're going to go now?
I really wanted Chase Brown. I think that Chase Brown might be an early candidate for flag plant because I think this guy, he's criminally undervalued, and I don't understand why. Running back 7 in half PPR formats when he took over the backfield last year, and you're getting that in the 3rd round. So you're getting a top 10 kind of running back in the 3rd round. I think that's invaluable, but yeah, that one stinks a little. Again, you brought up Rashee Rice. I like him, but it is half PPR, and volume is the trap that you can fall into because if you can score touchdowns and give volume, that's where you win. But if you only get volume, you might find yourself in a range of a whole bunch of other wide receivers that you can probably get in a couple rounds or maybe a round or two later. So that being said, I think I am just going to take touchdowns. I'm going to go quarterback. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts.
Really? All right.
I'm going to see how this plays out.
I don't hate that at all. It's
beautiful.
Well, it seemed to have played out pretty well there. So where are you going here? I will say, for the audio listeners, real quick, just before you jump in, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Harrison, Joe Burrow, Kyrie Williams, Alvin Kamara in the 4th round. I've said his name is wrong my entire life, but and then James Cook. You said beautiful, so who is it here?
Well, Rashee Rice is still on here just to keep the conversation going about Rashee Rice. But there is one Davante Adams here.
Yep. That's where I figured you'd want to go. And I don't blame you.
Yeah, like Breece Hall is the sliding guy here. And I don't hate Breece Hall, but I question just what is the intrigue for Breece Hall at this pot. And maybe he makes it back to you and then you can talk about it, which would be great for
I wouldn't hate
dynasty shares, but
wouldn't hate it.
I am gonna go with Davante Adams here. Yeah. I feel like he is one of the very few wide receivers. Oh man. He is one of the very few receivers left that can get volume and find the end zone. Not saying that like Cortland Sutton isn't going to get any volume, but what I'm talking like substantial volume and finding the end zone in this Rams offense. So maybe the Hurts pick doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'm just going for guys that give me the highest week to week, production. And that's literally what Davante Adams and Jalen Hurts will do.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, like Jalen Hurts, I feel like we're kind of pushing down a little. I mean, he had 21 fantasy points per game. Like he still had 15 rushing touchdowns. The tush push is still here. If anything, we should expect a little regression from Saquon in terms of, touchdowns from what we've seen from Eagles running backs over. So it's like we could see more Jalen Hurts touchdowns. So yeah, it's definitely, I see the upside case. He should be going in the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels range. Definitely can argue with that. And then Davante. I mean, who doesn't love Davante Adams right now with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay? I mean, that's
if you don't, I worry for you.
Yeah. So after your pick, there were 4 guys that I was okay taking, and all 4 went before my pick. It was Breece Hall, DJ Moore, Joe Mixon, and Rashee Rice. I was going to be very happy with any of those 4, and I got none of them. So that's rough. I kind of want to go wide receiver here, and I'm not loving the wide receivers on the board. Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach just a little bit, not a ton. Seeing George Kittle here honestly makes me wish I would have gone Lab McConkey and taken Kittle here in the 4th round. That I feel like I would have felt better about all of this. But I am going to go Devonta Smith here. Similar reason, maybe not similar reason you took Jalen Hurts, but I do think the passing volume is going to come back a little bit. That's why I've been lower on Saquon. I just don't think he can do again what he did last year at 28 years old. I just think they need to throw the ball more. Last year, they only threw the ball because they felt like they should. They never actually had to. So it's that's kind of how that went. Chuba Hubbard, George Kittle, Omarion Hampton, TJ Hawkinson, Cortland Sutton and Kenneth Walker go next. And it's definitely, I'm sitting here, Ty. I
Zay
just don't know.
Flowers.
Yeah,
Zay
he's
Flowers.
staring me at DK Metcalf. So if I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be there, I'd take DK Metcalf here.
Yep.
But I have no faith in a Mason Rudolph, Arthur Smith offense. I have no faith at all. It's a bummer. James Conner, passing on James Conner again in the 5th and 6th round feels like it's a mistake, like it has been the last 4 years, where he's just always 16 fantasy points a game. But you're like,
It's true.
Dude's never healthy. He's gonna fall off, and then he just keeps doing it. I don't know if I want to Cardinals either. That might be, I just don't know if I trust I think they're gonna bounce back. I don't know if I trust the offense enough. Dave Montgomery there as well. Chris Olave, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle. I shouldn't do it, Ty, but I really, really want to take Jalen Waddle here. I really do. I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I really want to, though. What I think I'm actually going to do is I think I'm going to go Jameson Williams.
Whoa.
I am. So I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah, go.
Devonta Smith is a safer wide receiver to me. He is a 12 to 16 fantasy point a week wide receiver. JMO gives me that upside at the wide receiver position to hit the home run. And Ty, I got to be honest, you've really been talking me into him. You have 100% because I've been on the fence, but he really has taken a step forward every year. And there's no reason to think he doesn't take another step forward to be more consistent again this year, even without Ben Johnson. I think if anything, they'll rely on all of their weapons more. So I'm going to go JMO there. Before we get to your pick real quick, Ty, we do want to remind the people, we have a draft guide coming out July 1st. We're going to be doing some promos, some giveaways. When we hit 4,000 subscribers, we're at 3,200 right now. We're going to give away multiple draft guides. Lucas said something about a grand prize. So we're still workshopping that a little bit. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications because you don't want to miss out on that. After JMO, we get Patrick Mahomes, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf. Oh, Ty, you missed him. Zay Flowers almost made it all the way back to you there, but you get sniped. Absolutely sniped on Zay Flowers. So where do you go now after being just emotionally crushed by Zay Flowers?
I'll keep this one short and sweet. Passing up on James Conner in the 5th round of fantasy drafts. I know that he is not getting any younger, but the fact is we're talking about a top 15 guy in points per game and half PPR. We've talked about it with Marvin Harrison, and maybe this is like the perfect bow on top of to wrap this conversation up. I'm not expecting this Arizona offense to change much. And if that does come true, we know that James Conner is going to get the rock. So I am going to go James Conner. So a Christian McCaffrey, James Conner running back room to start. You may cringe at it because you're like, gosh, they can't stay healthy. It's a risk I'm going to take because
it's a lot of points there, though. Yep, exactly. After James Conner, Samuel Porter, Chris Olave, Xavier Worthy, David Montgomery, Jerry Jeudy, Ted McMillan. Another thing you'll notice, rookies are significantly lower in sleeper than they are on those underdog drafts. We'll see the rookies rise. I expect Ted McMillan, Travis Hunter to end up being closer to that 4th round ADP like they are on underdog. So just something to definitely keep in mind. But yeah, Ty, you're sitting here, Nico Collins, Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Adams, James Conner. Where do you go now? Because you really can go any direction.
Yeah, and I'm kind of ticked off because I was looking at receiver, and the 4 receivers I would have been okay with all went before. So, this is. I mean, the top 2 receivers, literally at the top of the board, Jalen Waddle and George Pickens, are probably next best. I mean, when you just take a look at the receivers after them, it's Jordan Addison, who we're expecting to have a suspension, and I mean, look, you can like Jordan Addison for who he is, but there is a ton of volatility with him going into this year with TJ Hawkinson fully healthy and a rookie quarterback.
Definitely.
Rookie-ish. You get what I'm saying.
Yep.
Then you're looking at Travis Hunter, and there's nothing wrong with Travis Hunter.
But does he play defensive back?
I mean, he will, but I don't think it's going to take him away too much from the offense.
Yeah.
It's, do I want to sink in this kind of draft capital on him? And I'm not sure I would want to do that. Then I'm looking at Rome Odunze, and I like Rome Odunze. I just took him in a dynasty startup of ours. I was very happy with that one. But I'm not sure I want to sink 6th round capital when, again, it is 2 flex, and I would be forced to start Rome Odunze at that point. So receiver is going to be the play. It's between Waddle and Pickens. I'm going to go Jalen Waddle.
I don't hate it.
I think there is an argument to be made to go on the 1-year wonder that is George Pickens this year, right? With Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb in his best kind of passing offense in his career so far. I'm just going to bet on the bounce back for Jalen Waddle. Everything from OTAs so far, so good that he's standing out. And if there is even more change in this Miami offense because of whatever Tyreek Hill has got on his mind, if Jonnu Smith gets traded, like Jalen Waddle could be a pretty sneaky piece here in the 6th.
Well, yeah. I mean, dude was wide receivers 9 his first season. Obviously, they've added a bunch of pieces around him, so it's not just him anymore like it was that first year. But he's shown he's more than capable of outproducing. We saw that Tyreek's first season. So healthy Tua, healthy offense, even if, all the pieces are still there, I think he can easily outperform this ADP. Travis Kelce next, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, Isaiah Pacheco. And I'm going to do it, Ty. I'm going to take your guy here. I'm going to go RJ Harvey. Second RB. I like Travion Henderson as well. Definitely not against Rome. I was really hoping you made it back to me. That sucks.
Snipe fest by the sleeper bots.
It is just brutal out here. But yeah, I think there's just so much opportunity for him in this offense. I think maybe Audric Estime, could be a real sneaky late round dart throw in underdog drafts, getting ends or goal line work. But I think the bulk of the carries go to RJ Harvey. I think Sean McVay hand-picked him, right? He's this year's version of Bo Nix, where he's like, yep, you're my offensive guy. I'm going to show everybody, try and show everyone I'm a genius kind of a thing. I think that goes through RJ Harvey. So I really like him here. Jonnu Smith, Tyrone Tracy, Aaron Jones, Khalil Shakir, Brandon Ayuk, and Rome Odunze all go next. And I'll be honest, there's 3 guys I like on this board right here. It's Travis Hunter, it's Travion Henderson, and Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, I understand, is gross, but at the same time, he is the wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. I feel like this is pretty late to get a pretty established wide receiver 1 on any team. But I really want to take Travis Hunter.
I know you do.
And I think I'm going to because it's more fun, right? I think that's really what this pick is about. Calvin Ridley might be the right pick. I think Calvin Ridley deserves more love than he's getting. But Travis Hunter's more fun. He's more exciting. So that's what we're making a fun pick here in the 7th round. After Travis Hunter goes Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, Travion Henderson, Quinchud Judkins. And before Ty makes his pick, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our friends over at Underdog Fantasy.
Today's podcast episode is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Now, we love Underdog. It is the easiest place to play best ball formats, and they even have their own form of player props called Pick'em. You can make up to 20 times your money on a single night by correlating props together. 2 picks will triple your money, 3 will 6 times it, 4 will 10 times it, and 5 plays that all hit will multiply your entry by 20. You can even place insurance on your picks too, so if only 4 of your 5 props hit, you still get 10 times your entry. And if you use our code FELLAS when signing up, Underdog is going to double your first deposit up to $100.
We are back, and Ty, you are on the board. Where do you go here? You got 2 running backs, you got 3 wide receivers, you got a quarterback. Are you looking tight end, or are you just looking for someone further down and going to go running back or wide receiver here?
I don't mind the tight ends, but I think I can wait. I'm not going to lie. I know Mark Andrews is at the top of the board here. I think you either need to say, I'm going to take the top 3 tight ends and take them at their ADP this year, or you're going to punt it and wait till like round 8, round 9, which isn't the worst strategy in the world. Because if none of the top 3 guys really step up and, step up and separate themselves, what I should say, from the rest of the pack, I don't necessarily think like you're missing out on a whole lot then with a top 3 tight ends, or if you miss out on a top 3 tight end. So that being said, Calvin Ridley made it all the way back, and he's one of the very few receivers left with at least the straightforward path to production here. We've got Jacoby Myers, Deebo Samuel, but then we get into the Stephon Diggs and the Jaden Reed, the Ricky Pearsall, the Josh Downs of the world, where it isn't as straightforward. You do need to take, you need to have a stance on those guys. So I am going to go Calvin Ridley to give myself my last kind of starting lineup piece. I don't want to sound like Calvin Ridley is going to be a league winner by any means, but you said it, like the value on Calvin Ridley when he's getting the upgrade at quarterback is kind of questionable.
Definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's a wide receiver 1 going in the 7th round right now. Like, he's gonna see 130 plus targets. It might be gross. He might not score a lot of touchdowns, but we're in the 7th round. Like, that's really all you can ask for here. That's what you're hoping to get. So definitely can't hate on that. Najee Harris goes next, then Baker Mayfield, Jalen Warren, Mark Andrews, Jacoby Myers, and Bo Nix. That feels like it's a pretty good little run after you for you. I don't think there's really anyone in that mix that you're too bummed on missing out on.
No, I am A-okay with how that fell to me. Now the decision though is I do want to take one more running back here, and I don't care how far down the board it is, because it drops off really, really quick.
Yep.
And the 2 guys that I'm most intrigued with here are Caleb Johnson, the Steelers running back, and Travis Etienne. And I have been very vocal that we are punishing Travis Etienne too much for playing with an injury in a really bad situation last year. And now you bring in Liam Cohen. So now I have this internal battle. Do I want the comments and the people and the audience to say that my team is better than yours and take Caleb
stand
Johnson?
on business?
And I stand on business. I'm going Travis Etienne.
I don't hate it at all.
I really do not get why people are so. I'm not saying that Travis Etienne is going to be a top 12 guy, but like right now on Underdog, he's outside the top 35, and if he finishes as a top 30 guy, it's well worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Next was Jared Goff, Brian Robinson, Kyler Murray, Evan Ingram. I'm looking here. I do need a quarterback, but the next 4 quarterbacks up: Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams. I'm honestly fine with any of them. And I'm looking at the 2 teams ahead of me. Team 2 took Josh Allen. Team 1 took Lamar Jackson. I'm okay with whoever team 3 picks and taking the other guy. I'm going to take the other player you talked about. I'm going to take Caleb Johnson, go 3 rookies in a row here. It feels like he's just going to be a volume guy this year. Maybe he's better than we thought. Yes.
Everything out of Pittsburgh is volume.
I mean, Jalen Warren, they've proven he's just not going to be a volume guy, right? He's going to be a 3rd down back, which you're okay with if Caleb Johnson's seeing almost 300 carries, which I'm going to be honest with. Mason Rudolph at quarterback could very well happen. Now, may it be like 3.3 yards per carry and 7 touchdowns? Yes, but as an 8th round running back, if you're seeing that kind of volume, we're pretty happy with it. After Caleb Johnson, Justin Herbert, Ramondre Stevenson, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Jaden Reed, Stephon Diggs, who's had a heck of the last couple days. Had a little boat incident, but then he comes back to land. And I don't know if you saw the video that was put out today, Ty, but looked fast on the field, making some cuts, only 7 months post-surgery. So he could be an interesting one if he truly is healthy, being Drake May's number 1. So could be interesting there. I do need a quarterback here, and this is where I got to kind of figure out what I want to do. Do I want Love, Purdy, or Caleb Williams? And you know what? I think I'm going to bet on Ben Johnson and go Caleb Williams. I think for
Ooh.
me, I feel like Caleb Williams has the highest upside out of those three. I feel like Brock Purdy and Jordan Love probably a little safer. Didn't 3 tight ends go right before Ty gets ready to take one? Brutal. Because after Caleb Williams goes Tyler Warren to a team that just took Evan Ingram the round before. David Njoku, Jordan Love, and Jake Ferguson. Ty, what are you thinking here now? You'll get a little tight end run when you weren't really ready for it.
No, dude. And it's all the teams that had a tight end already.
Yes, it
Like,
is. The Brock Bowers team, the Kelsey team, the Evan Ingram team.
oh man. All right. I need to look at tight end because this run was very unfortunate.
I think you're going to get lucky, though, when you look at who's down left on tight end. Because there's one guy who I feel like should be going a lot earlier than he is.
Correct. So in your actual drafts, he probably should be going here, but I'm going to play the board a bit. So the top 4 tight ends, spoiler, so you guys can sweat this out with me. Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Tucker Kraft, and Colson Loveland are the last 4 tight ends before we're talking about like Kyle Pitts and Pat Freiermuth and Zach Ertz. But Colson Loveland is like so far down the board that I should be okay. Tucker Kraft is the closest. I feel better about Tucker Kraft than the other 2 guys in Kincaid and Goddard. So I am going to take Tucker Kraft, and now we sweat this one out.
Oh, you're going to double up a tight end here is what you're hoping. Is that what you're hoping for?
That was the hope, because I think there is value here. There are still some very good players on the board. Like, the guy that I'm probably going to have an internal debate about, Jawan Jennings, is still on the board here.
Well,
so you're welcome for that pick.
Yeah, I'm not going to have much of an internal debate about that on my pick. I'm going to be honest. That's going to be a pretty easy.
Yeah. So I am going to go Colson Loveland. I think if I had a David Njoku as my tight end, I would go Jawan Johnson here. Or not Jawan Johnson, Jawan Jennings.
Yeah.
But because Tucker Kraft is a relative wild card still at the tight end spot, we have hopes for him, but that doesn't mean that he's actually going to like succeed, because a lot of the intrigue for Tucker Kraft is just coming on the big plays that happened from last year. There wasn't really much of a volume type receiver or a red zone threat tight end in Tucker Kraft. So hoping that something changes here with Tucker Kraft. So that's what makes me go Colson Loveland here, who again should be going earlier than this, but I will just take advantage of the sleeper board falling that the way it is.
Yeah. And like you said, after Loveland, Pittman, Kincaid, Stroud, Mooney, it's a no-brainer. I'm not even going to think about it. It's Jawan Jennings. We talked about him last episode with guys to avoid. We were talking about Ricky Pearsall, 31% first read rate when he was on the field with Pearsall, Kittle, all at the same time. Obviously, Ayuk's still coming back from injury. If he's the wide receiver 1, even if it's for half the year, that's a smash pick this late in the draft at the 10 spot. After Jennings goes Goddard, Dak Prescott, Cam Skadabu, Jalen McMillan, Kyle Pitts. Oof, what a fall from grace. Zach Charbonnet. I'm looking here, Ty, and if you're drafting on sleeper already, these rookies are pushed way down. I'm looking at guys like Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, all staring me in the face. And Tyler, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to reach down the board a little and take Tyler's darling here. I'm going to go Jordan Mason. My RB4.
Okay.
He's a little down the sleeper board, but he's going to be their goal line back. Aaron Jones did not score touchdowns at the goal line at all last year. Aaron Jones is 30 years old. He's going to get work. We saw that he could handle, being at 1B last year. I really like him in Minnesota, especially if they find out they finally have a goal line back, they're going to use him. So at the 1104, I'm definitely comfortable taking him as my running back 4. Rico Dowdle, Keon Coleman, Rashad White, and Tank Bigsby go next. What do you do here now, Ty? Where do you go from here?
Yeah. I was really hoping that one of those running backs would get back to me, because this board is gross for running backs.
Yep.
So that being said, I am looking at 2 receivers here just because that's what I'm most comfortable with at this point.
Nope.
And there's a guy that I don't think people are considering enough. And it partially is because of his situation, being in New Orleans.
Ooh.
With the alleged open competition that they have for their starting quarterback job right now. So Rashid Shaheed is a fascinating one to me.
Yes,
This
healthy.
guy had 4 double-digit fantasy point finishes at the beginning of the year before he got hurt.
Yeah, he only played 6 games. So
but he was a top 30 receiver in points per game.
Yeah.
Like that. And now you get Kellen Moore, which again is a great sign. But now we get back to the problem of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Tyler Shuck? Is it going to be,
yes?
Gosh, why am I blanking on it?
Exactly.
You name it. You could be the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. So the other receiver then that I'm looking at is Trey Harris. And I don't know, man. There's something about Rashid Shaheed that
I don't hate it.
Maybe it's the rookie that maybe it's the rookie receiver that I don't want to take on the development on, if that makes sense, because like Luther Burden went right after. I have Colston Loveland. That didn't really make a whole lot of sense in my mind. Trey Harris again, but if he's going to be just a vertical guy, it's going to be so far hit and miss that like there will be a point in the season where I may end up having to drop him because it's just not working out. I have faith that it works out, but I don't want that headache. Then I was looking at like Jaden Higgins and Emeka Egbuka, which I like them as players. Higgins didn't really make sense. I've got Nico Collins, and Emeka Egbuka is kind of the wild card of all wild cards, where I don't want to say he's going to be better in best ball, but at least in best ball, I can just I can celebrate the wins with him and not then be penalized for the bad weeks if it doesn't turn out in his favor with Godwin and Mike Evans. So
definitely.
Like I said, right after Shaheed, my pick, Luther Burden, Austin Eckler, Trey Harris, Drake May, Pat Freiermuth, and J.K. Dobbins. And now we have to look at the gross running back board. Because I currently only have 3 running backs. And this stinks. I will be transparent. This is gross.
Yep.
I could take Bashal Tootin and make sure then that I have like a 66% chance that I hit on this Jacksonville backfield. I don't hate that. Jaden Blue and what feels like an open Dallas backfield, but I feel like people talk about Jaden Blue because Javonte Williams suffers from the Travis Etienne effect a little bit, if that makes sense.
Ray Davis.
Ray Davis is a fascinating one. Ultimately, I'm going to go with my guy, Braylon Allen. Everything out of New York.
He's addicted.
I am. Everything out of New York says that Breece Hall isn't going to be the workhorse. And Braylon Allen at this point in drafts, even if it is going to be Breece Hall, I'm A-okay dropping him then and picking up whoever's going to be the top waiver ad of the week after week 1.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, to not take the shot on your guy there. You're right there. We're in the 12th round. It's like you said, you're looking at it. It's so gross anyways. It's like, might as well just take the guy you believe in and not be like, oh, this sucked that I didn't take who I wanted to take. Right. After Braylon Allen goes Egbuka, Jaden Higgins. I was hoping one of those two fell to me. Didn't get either of them. Christian Kirk, JJ McCarthy. I don't really know what I want to do here. It is all pretty gross to me. I think I might go a 5th running back, and I think I am
Oh,
going to take Ray Davis here. Take the shot on him being more involved, especially around the goal line, than James Cook, or with James Cook as well. But that wraps us up. So Ty, why don't you run us through your team real quick?
Yeah, started off with Nico Collins in the first, then got my very early running back 1 on the year, Christian McCaffrey, in the second. Followed up with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Adams, James Conner, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley as my last piece in my starting lineup before my tight ends. Travis Etienne is my running back 3, my tight ends then in Tucker Kraft and Colson Loveland. Then wrapped up my team then with some fillers of Rashid Shaheed and Braylon Allen.
Definitely. It's hard to hate on that. I went Bijan Robinson in the first, Trey McBride in the second, trying to something a little bit different than rattled off 3 wide receivers with T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, and Jameson Williams. Took RJ Harvey, Travis Hunter, and Caleb Johnson for 3 rookies in a row to really kind of round out both running back and wide receiver room. Took Caleb Williams then. Jawan Jennings was an absolute gift in the 10th. And then got Jordan Mason and Ray Davis to round that out. But yeah, I mean, that was fun. It felt good to kind of get back into it, talk through it. Sleeper board threw us a couple curveballs here and there. I mean, Ty, the run of 3 tight ends in a row right before you, all going to tight end teams. It's always a wild ride. That is for sure.
All the sleeper bots are just the most unfriendly people on
Yeah.
planet Earth. So it is
They
what
should
it is.
Release the code, make it open source so we know what you're right.
Seriously.
Pretty soon.
Here, I'll use this as a little shameless plug. If you're sick of the sleeper bots, come by our mock drafts live streams on Monday nights.
Yes,
right
sir.
Here, we're on all over socials, but you will find it here on YouTube. Again, join us. We'll talk ball. We'll talk strategies. We'll talk everything about this upcoming season and everything that you then need to know for fantasy. So again, that starts up next week on Monday. So join us.
Hey, it'll be a good time. It always is. Yeah, we got Keep Trade Cuts tomorrow. I definitely forgot to plug that earlier. If you're still listening, drop that in the comments of who you want to see. Give us 3 players and we'll discuss. I think we're going to go through 8 different trios. We have more episodes coming next week that I don't remember off the top of my head, but don't worry. They're running backs and wide receivers that experts are all wrong about. We will bring that to you next week, but you don't need to worry about that. You just need to worry about Thursday. Lucas should be back next week. So Ty and I got one more day to just, bro out, as they say. I don't know. I'm rambling and we got to cut this short. Let us know who you think won the mock draft in the comments and follow us on the socials. Oh, get out of here. No, absolutely not.
Me.
Follow us on the socials. If you want to follow Tyler because you think he won, follow him at Tyler. Are you Tyler _Plath? I don't have it to read.
Correct.
Tyler _Plath on the X. I'm at Camelot FFF. Fantasy Football Fellas, the FF Fellas on Instagram, FFLs on X. I am struggling right now. Fantasy Football Fellas on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Fantasy Football Fellas first from over on YouTube. Don't forget about our lives that we have coming up next Monday and Wednesday, and every Monday and Wednesday throughout the summer. And we will see you on Thursday. Deuces.